Hello, everyone. Once again, thank you for joining us here at Titans Tube. And as you can see, Chris from Titans and Truth has graciously joined us once again. Unfortunately, this time, Chris, for the second time, the Titans have suffered a loss on the season already after that promising opening game. So we're going to get into that. I know it's been, 5 days since the game, so I know a lot of people have already kind of thought things through, given their own recaps, and done their social media hating and panicking and firing on the Titans side. But we're gonna just give our recap here, talk about just what to make of all this, and just the disaster that we saw on Thursday night. Titans going down 20-7, just taking a beating. And by beating, taking that beating on the offensive line. I mean, 9-sack performance by Mariota. Give it up for Mariota on his 9-sack performance. Great. It's fantastic. What happened, Chris? Thanks for joining us again. So what's going on with the Titans, man? I can't make sense of it.
What's up, Titan Tubers? As always, I'm always glad to be here. Where to begin on this one? I did a Facebook Live on my page. You can find on Chris A. Newell or on TNT Enforcers. Let's just say I let loose. I let off. I was frustrated, hot, ticked off, livid, all at the same time. And I let the Titans have it. I don't know what happened in this game. It just seemed like the offensive line just olayed pretty much the entire second half. Marcus just doesn't have it, and missing receivers, taking unnecessary sacks, not getting rid of the ball, and it's just yet again continuing to waste a great effort from the defensive side of the ball. What more can we say about this game?
I don't know. That was an epic Facebook Live rant, though. I did watch it. You were pacing around your room the whole time. You just couldn't stop moving and being enraged. It was a very good rant. I enjoyed it, and I thought you were spot on. Yeah,
I'm sure it was quite colorful for a lot of people. I'm laughing now because I'm actually feeling good. I'm feeling better now. That day, I was laughing to keep from crying. Literally.
Laughter is the cure for all tragedy and mourning. And Titans Nation's been in a state of mourning now for the past 5 days. And I mean, it's been a worse effort every week so far in the first 3 games. And especially this 9-sack performance coming against Jacksonville, and just a team that we seem to have a number on for the past few seasons. I think we had, a 6-game winning streak against them. Maybe 4 or 5.
I would say 4 or 5. I want to say 4 or 5, and I want to say 6 of the last. I want to say 6 of the last 7 we've beaten them until the other night.
The last time they beat us was when it was on Christmas Eve. I'll never forget when Mariota broke his leg in that game, and that pretty much eliminated us from the playoffs. Terrible memory, man. Just the Jags know how to break Mariota. And that's kind of something. Should we talk about Mariota? He's obviously the talk. Just with every game, he's under a microscope this season. Everyone wants to judge him on every single throw, every single breath that he takes. People are like, oh, nope, see what he did there? See that throw? He's not it. He's not the franchise quarterback. And I think he lost a lot of people on his bandwagon after this performance. And I mean, it's still the 3rd game of the year, and I know I'm a Mariota fan, and I want it to work so badly for him. But yeah, I mean, obviously I'm concerned, and if he doesn't turn it around, I'll have to be ready to move on, because winning is obviously the most important thing in sports. Whoever can get you W's, that's who you want on the field, regardless of how great of a person and teammate you might be. But that's the thing. Yes, Mariota has to share some of the blame, maybe a lot of blame, for those 9 sacks and just the overall inept offensive performance. But again, we got to talk about these other things that are coming into play. obviously the offensive line, the play calling. There's a lot of things going on here. And I think, if you want to put in Tannehill, do you think if Tannehill plays that game, the offense looks that much better? You think put any good consensus across all boards, good quarterback back there in that game against Jacksonville? How effective do you think the offense is?
That is probably the question of the day. I mean, I don't know if any quarterback could have survived with that putrid offensive line play that was in front of him. Now, I know you, like a lot of our fellow Titan fans, want to believe in Marcus, or, as A to Z Sports has said, convincing yourselves to believe in Marcus, and I understand that. I have to admit, I'm on the other side of the fence. I was once a Marcus Mariota believer. I was once a guy that wanted to cheer for Marcus and wanted to fight for him. He's broken my spirit. I said this on Titans and Truth last week, and even on this rant, I have officially turned heel. I have turned on Marcus Mariota. I don't believe anymore. He has lost me. And I know.
He's lost Chris.
I know we still have a lot of season left. Like Derrick Henry last year, he's outside of my house on the street. He's got to work his way back into my house and into my heart. Right now, he has broken it.
So right now, you're on the other side of the fence on Mariota. Like you said, though, there's still a lot of football left. So should he turn it around, you're saying you're willing to open up the doors again to your house of your bubble of trust again. So you're not saying you're ready to bench Tannehill or bench Mariota is what I'm getting at. You're not on the board that we should just sit Mariota, give up on him, he's done. Let's just put in Tannehill and see where he can take us for the rest of the season.
I mean, I'm giving up on Marcus, but I mean, right now, I just don't know if Tannehill is the better option right now. I mean, I would like to see with Lawan back and maybe with Nate Davis in there if he does go. If Marcus does turn it around and get himself together, then I will be very happy to eat some crow. I will be more than happy to eat some humble pie. I will do anything to make sure that this team is successful. And I want this team to win. I am a diehard Titan fan through and through. I'm going to be with them till I am put into the grave. And when I put in the grave, I will be wearing Titans gear in my funeral. So I still believe, I don't. Marcus is, I just don't. Sorry.
I hear you, man. Sorry, you started breaking up at the end there, but I got the gist of it. So yeah, it's a tough call. It's tough to kind of accept that hey, this is Mariota now, and it might be time to move on and look elsewhere. But I'm still looking at it from the perspective of this whole offense just seems broken in the first place. It just seems like, again, it looks to me like offenses of the past where we're putting Mariota in this box and not really letting him play. Because when I watch Mariota, I see a quarterback now that doesn't have the confidence that he once did when he first came into the league. I don't think he trusts this system. He looks almost scared to play or to step back there and deliver passes. He doesn't trust what he sees. I don't think he believes, or maybe he believes in what we're doing. But when push comes to shove and he's back there trying to make a play, he just doesn't have that confidence that I once saw. And when people are saying on Twitter or whatever, like Mariota isn't the guy, he's never been the guy, he's always been a trash quarterback, I call BS on that. When he first came into the league, he had that swagger about him that I'm just gonna let it fly. I'm gonna make plays. I'm gonna do it with my arm, with my legs. I've seen him make some lots and lots of fantastic throws over the past few years. He dropped some dimes in this game too. He dropped a dime to Tajay Sharp when Ramsey was draped all over him. He dropped a dime to Adam Humphries, I think deep both on the right side of the field. Maybe that's his sweet spot. But it's just that consistency thing though that we're not seeing from week to week. Like he misses freaking Humphries, I think, on a screen pass, just a terrible misfire. And then he throws a screen to Henry that looked like it could go to the distance in that one play that Henry drops, and that sucks. That's gonna just mess up any kind of consistency and chemistry and flow of the offense. But again, yeah, like I'm saying, I feel like maybe Mariota's broken at this point, because this is not the quarterback. This is a different quarterback than I saw from the first 2-3 years in the league. The quarterback I saw in the playoffs against the Chiefs on the road, putting the team on his back, having that swagger, that playmaking clutch ability. Just the offense kind of, there's no sense of urgency. Even whenever we were down in the second half, we were just, what was it, like a 3rd and long or a 2nd and long, and we handed it off to Dion Lewis. Like, there's no flow. Nothing seems to make sense at certain times throughout the game. So that's kind of a quick rant on what I'm seeing from Mariota. What do you think about all that?
You know, I hear exactly what you're saying, and I think a part of why I feel the way I feel when it comes to Marcus, number one, is confidence. And I think people don't underestimate the value of having confidence in yourself and some swagger. Because that confidence and swagger in you, you could be down 3 touchdowns and you still believe, you know what, we're going to get back and we're going to win this game. And I think that's where I am starting to see a lot of the problem is, I don't think Marcus trusts himself. He's not letting it fly. He's not letting it just go. He's not looking through his reads, finding an open guy. And it seemed like a lot of his passes are rushed because I think it's 2 main things. He's fearing the rush that may not even be there, at times, because there were a couple of times in the game that he rushed some passes. He had a little bit of a pocket. The play to Delaney in the 3rd quarter on that first drive, he avoids the rush, steps up, looks like he has time, and it may have been tipped a little bit. He clearly misses Walker. That's got to be a touchdown right there. So I think a lot of it is confidence, and 2, he might be afraid of getting hurt. He might be afraid if I take the wrong sack or something like that, which he's taking a lot of, he's going to get hurt. So I think that's in the back of his mind too. And when you play scared and you play with fear, it is going to overtake you. And that's something that not a lot of people can come back from.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like if he's so afraid to get hurt again, that would be more of a sense of urgency for him to whenever he's back there making a pass, like, I got to get rid of the ball. Ooh, nothing's open. I got to get out of this pocket as soon as possible. Or unless there's no one closing in on him, then I would prefer him to sit in the pocket.
He's not getting a lot of help in front of him.
Exactly, yeah, and that's such a surprising thing to me with this offensive line, like, and the regression that it's taken. Like, remember in 2016 when the offensive line was top 5 unit in the NFL, DeMarco Murray was the AFC's leading rusher. Mariota throws 26 touchdowns to, I think, 9 interceptions. To Rashard Matthews, who was our number 1 receiver that whole season. Those 2 were crushing it that year. I think it really was, and we didn't even make the playoffs. That's the year Mariota broke his leg in the second to last game of the season. What I go back to is the offensive line coach was Russ Grimm, and he was only here for a very short amount of time, but the offensive line, that's whenever it seemed like it was at its best. Was he coaching the offensive line the next year when we went to Kansas City? I should have looked that up, but I did not. Because I know they took a step back. Yeah, I know they took a step back a little bit, and Mariota had a pretty down year that 3rd year, But yeah, he was only with us for 2 seasons at best. And whoever the new offensive line coach, Keith Carter, maybe it's just some kind of scheming technique that's really causing them to struggle. But yeah, Jamil Douglas is a problem. Like, what did PFF give him, a 12? That should automatically mean you have to be benched for like the next 3 games. It's like a team rule if you have a score that low.
Now, I'll say this on 2 things. One, I said this on my rant when I went off. That was probably one of the biggest mistakes Mike Vrabel has made thus far, is not keeping Russ Grimm on as offensive line coach. I understand we took a step back, but it wasn't to this degree. It wasn't to this degree. During the Mike Mularkey era, you weren't hearing of 11 sacks given up in one game, 9 sacks in another. you weren't hearing this. Number 2, yeah, Keith Carter. I don't know how much experience he has. It's not very good. He's got to go. I'm not feeling that. Yeah. Bring Russ Grimm back. Bring back Grimm. And
we should get that trending on Twitter. Bring back Grimm.
I agree. And then, like you said, I cannot echo that enough. Jamil Douglas absolutely sucks. I mean, sucks to a high degree. Mm-hmm. And yeah. I want to ask you about this. What's going on with the $44 million man on the left side at guard? What's up with this guy? Supposed to be a great player from the Rams. He's giving up sacks too.
Yeah. He gave up a couple, didn't he? Like, and it's not to discredit the Jags front. Like, they've got one of the best fronts personnel-wise in the NFL. Calais Campbell is a monster. But why are we there was sacks that Campbell had where he was being blocked by Douglas, like one-on-one. What kind of scheme is that? I feel like that's a coaching issue. You have to recognize the superstars on a defense and scheme to get them blocked. And I'm not saying that they didn't do that, but the tape says otherwise on a couple plays that I saw. But yeah, well, that was a side thing about Douglas again. But yeah, Saffold is kind of struggling, and maybe getting Lawan back will just help out that left side as a whole. But yeah, he's getting beat too. Is it another? I don't know. With Sean McVay and the Rams, I think they do a lot of scheme stuff that hides a lot of weaknesses. I think he's a pretty brilliant coach. I think, and this might be a hot take or whatever, but I think he makes Jared Goff look better than what he actually is. And they paid Jared Goff big money to be the quarterback there. But hey, he works in that system of Sean McVay. So I think, and that may trickle down to the offensive line too. He just puts them in position to succeed, and maybe Saffold was a beneficiary of that. But I mean, he was with the Rams long before McVay was the coach there, so I think he'd already established himself. But yeah, and I guess that's another point that you can kind of take, is that for some reason I feel like being on the Titans, we're not coaching players to play better than what they really are. It seems like they underperform in a lot of ways. Like Corey Davis, even Derrick Henry in some aspect, especially. Well, I don't know. Early on in Derrick Henry's career, I think Derrick Henry's turned it around, and it was more of a Henry issue. But Corey Davis, Adam Humphries, even though he did have a good game, or had a good game statistically last week. Who else? AJ Brown. Like, these players are so much better than the production that they're putting up, and I feel like that has to be a coaching issue, if anything, really. Would you agree?
I definitely agree, because I mean, and I've said this before, if it's one player or a particular unit, that's probably on that unit or that particular player. If it's the unit as a whole, the entire offense, yeah, you got to start looking at the coaching there. I mean, and I'm starting to wonder, maybe it's Arthur Smith a little bit in over his head a bit. Maybe he's feeling a bit overwhelmed and, taking his position and, being an offensive coordinator. And I can't say this because I'm not experienced at it. Being an offensive coordinator is one hard job. Yeah. And I want to go back to Jamil Douglas for a quick second. It reminded me a lot of that horrific game in Houston. Zach Mettenberger at the start. Jeremiah Patasi having to block J.J. Watt, and what a nightmare that was. I mean, in front of the Adams family in Houston.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that, and that was painful enough as it is. But as a whole, I mean, I think this offense is much better than what it's showing, and I think a lot of it is scheme. A lot of it is that coaches are not putting the players in the correct positions to succeed. A lot of the times, if you're seeing struggle with the pocket, move the pocket a little bit, roll Mariota out a bit, and then he can hit maybe a comeback or out route, something to kind of get a flow going. If if the rush is coming too quick, drop quick passes, quick slants, and things like that. And it just seems like a lot of the Titan coaches that are there are just a little bit inept to making those type of calls and not making necessary adjustments to kind of adjust with the flow of the game to make it a lot better.
Yeah. I totally agree. Because I mean, when you look at Jacksonville's offense, I mean, being down a quarterback, being down Nick Foles, their starting quarterback, and our defense was getting after Fournette. He had negative rushing yards all the way up until he had that like 60-yard run in the fourth quarter, which sucked to see. I would have loved to have that negative rushing total, just something positive to take away from the game, but we got nothing. We got nothing positive because of that long run. But Minshew, like, he's in a second game, and I mean, he just was playing with so much more confidence and swagger. It seemed like, again, going back to putting Mariota in a box, it seemed like they were just letting Minshew play. Like, hey, we're going to call these plays. Just go out there, be loose, make it happen. Again, like, Minshew is in that mindset of he has nothing to lose. Like, he's coming in as the backup quarterback. Nothing is really expected of him, being a 6th-round draft pick. Whereas Mariota is in his 5th year and is definitely has so much to be expected of him. So all the pressure is on Mariota as he's playing. So, I mean, maybe that's affecting him too, but yeah, looking at the two quarterbacks, Minshew was the one that felt loose. He felt like that he'd been around for a while in the league and just was going out there making plays. Like, he had a few good throws. Like, he had a solid day. Like, he had 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, which is huge being in your second game. One of his touchdowns, though, came off that Adoree Jackson turnover, so they had like a 7-yard field. So we can transition to that if you want. Adoree Jackson, once again, fumbling punts, muffing punts, putting the defense in bad position. And in a game where your defense ended up playing lights out, they would have had 13 total points if you take that 7 off the board. They had just gotten that 3 and out, and then, or it might have been 4 or 5 and out. They might have gotten a first down on their first drive. But yeah, and then the defense has to go right back on the field to protect 7 yards behind them.
Yeah, that was actually now, because that was something that was a talk of focus, because the first 2 games, the defense gave up the first score. They give up a touchdown. So you're thinking, get a 3 and out to start the game. They do that. And the worst thing is, Adoree, even though he gave up about a 9-yard completion, I mean, he put his shoulder into the guy. And the great thing about that play, it kept him from getting the first down. And then, the incomplete pass. So the defense does their job to open the game. And in that instance, if you're going to let it bounce, if you're going to let the ball bounce, it's okay to just let it go. Let it go. You don't have to, because if you try to chase after the ball and try to pick it up as it bounces, it's only going to lead to bad things. And that's exactly what happened. Another mistake by Adoree Jackson. That's 2 in a row. For him.
And I mean, I get the temptation to want to keep him back there, because when he has the ball in his hand, he can be electrifying. Like, throughout his career, maybe he's had like 1 nice long punt return or 2. Like, he hasn't made it happen that often.
And when he has, flags.
Yeah, flags. But I like the idea. I like the idea of having an electrifying playmaker with some great speed back there to make that return for you. But we can't trust him to make the correct decision down there, whether to let the ball bounce, whether to fair catch it, whether to return it. I'll go back to a few years ago when we had Mark Mariani last. After he came back from Chicago, he returned for us for like a year. That might have been the 2016 season as well. And he maybe had a long return of 8 or something, but he was so reliable. He never hurt us. He never put us in bad situations. And that's really, I want to go back to that at this point. Put Humphreys back there. Just fair catch every ball. I don't know.
And I think that's what, from what I'm hearing from Coach Vrabel, I think that's exactly what they're going to go back to. I think they're going back to that Mark Mariani type style. Just let Adam Humphreys go back there, fair catch it, protect the ball, don't fumble. It's the safe move right now, because I think it is that temptation. Adoree wants to make the big play. He wants to make something happen. And then in the end, it's a mistake. Bang, gives the Jaguars 7 points. And I agree. that was a turning point of the game right off the bat. If that doesn't happen, I think this game is a lot closer. And I mean, despite everything bad that happened, I think we're in the ball game with a shot at winning it.
Yeah, for sure. Like the first two games we had allowed on defense an opening drive for a touchdown. And it looked like, hey, good, we finally got to stop on defense. Let's get the ball, make something happen. Finally, a different start to this game. Correct me if I'm wrong, didn't the Colts score on their opening possession?
Yes, they did.
I think because that was a talking point, I think, coming into the Jacksonville game. But after muffing the punt, it might as well have been an opening drive touchdown. Like the result was the same despite us actually having them punt. And that's just so crucial. And I get Adoree wanting to be aggressive and try to make a play because the upside of that is tremendous. Having a solid punt return to flip the field or returning one for a touchdown can completely change a game. But again, if you screw it up, then it can change the game against you for the other team. And right now, like, there's been a lot more changing the momentum for the other team than him giving us the momentum. So I'm ready to make the change. Like I'm ready just to play it safe back there because that severely hurt us in this game.
He was a part of my rant too. I just said, you know what? It's time to cut it with Adoree Jackson because I mean he's making too many mistakes. He had the PI call on the first drive. If that doesn't happen, that first touchdown probably doesn't happen with the Colts game. And then this happened. So it seemed like ever since about after the first half of last year, it just seemed Adoree, I think, had 2 interceptions early. After the Buffalo game last year, it just seemed like he trended down, and it's not even close. And I said this on my rant. With Adoree, it's nothing physical. It's nothing about his physical ability that is the problem. It's up here. It's all mental. It's between the ears. That is where the problem is with Adoree. And I think, like Marcus, he's losing confidence too.
Yeah, because physical attributes, he has it all. But I feel like a lot of times he does rely on that too much. When he makes a mental mistake, he's got to rely on his speed and athleticism to make a play on defense. I can see it being a confidence issue as well. Just like Mariota. God, it's so disappointing. And a quick point about the defense. They played a great game, but man, 0 sacks to 9. We are not getting the quarterback on the ground, which is disappointing because, I mean, Jacksonville's O-line is nothing to write home about. Who was it? Who they play last week? Or I don't know. I don't know the sack numbers when they played Houston.
They played Houston last week.
But again, Houston's got a better pass rush than we do anyway. But still, this is the NFL. You got to hit home on some of these plays and get the quarterback on the ground. And that's the one issue with the defense that seems to be a little persistent, carrying over even from last year.
I agree with that because I mean I don't remember. I mean, honestly enough, there weren't too many opportunities where Minshew was touched. And there were one time Landry almost got to him. He was right there. Minshew got rid of the ball. And then the other time was that egregious and absolutely, dumbfounding roughing the passer call that was called on Kamale Correa. And that is another subject in of itself.
The officiating was pretty piss poor. Even, obviously, Tom Brady, that's known now, his tweet that went viral saying he had to turn off the game because the officiating was so bad. And the commentators, Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, were commenting about it in the first half. And that doesn't happen. Like, I don't know, like, the proper etiquette and criticizing the referees, but I feel like the commentators aren't really supposed to do that just because you're kind of saying, hey, the product that we're putting on TV is bad and this is a poorly officiated game. I don't know, it hurts ratings or whatever, but they still called him out anyway. And that's telling. And you could tell like something was obviously communicated to the refs because the fouls mysteriously weren't happening near as often in the second half.
Yeah, and I mean that was the thing about that really got me. A lot of those calls, it was just pathetic. I mean, some of these calls were not necessary. You know, you had that call, and I played high school on the defensive side of the ball. You know, if the quarterback is just letting off the ball, that'd be different if it was about 3-4 seconds he let the ball go and you just waylaying into him. But most of the time, that was under 2 seconds, and then the quote-unquote explanation they try to give is, well, part of the helmet hit the chin. That's why they called it. I didn't see no part of the chin hit Minshew up. He was leaning shoulder in like you're supposed to do.
Right.
And then another call that was stupid was the A.J. Brown push-off. Even though, I mean, you know, they call pass interference on the offense on A.J. Brown pushing off. I mean, I just thought, that's ticky-tack. That was ticky-tack, and that was just ridiculous. That led to 9 penalties on us.
Yeah. Yeah, nine penalties, 9 sacks allowed. Just a horrible performance overall. Whether the penalties were legit or not, there's still 9 penalties going against you. So, we've gone over the 30-minute mark that I had. So do you have any thoughts about the season and wrapping up this video here and what you want to see coming out of Atlanta next week? Do you think Atlanta is a must-win game?
You know what? I'm ready to put this game behind me because it was just so infuriating. This game, I wouldn't necessarily say a must-win as far as, you know, records and playoffs and all of this. I say must win for morale of this team, for confidence sake. Build on something. I mean, this game is much needed, and this is not going to be an easy game because, you know, Atlanta, you know, even though they lost to the Colts, which I'm very upset with, by the way, you still got Matt Ryan, you got Devontae Freeman, you got Calvin Ridley, and I cannot remember. There's this other guy that the Falcons.
Sanu? Mohamed Sanu?
Not Sanu. I mean, I forgot about him too, but some big guy. I think he just got paid a lot of money. You know, I think where's number 11? Supposedly supposed to be some good receiver. Do you know his name?
No idea what you're talking about. No idea. They probably shouldn't play him because he's probably nobody.
That's it. I forgot. Some undrafted guy named Julio Jones. I forgot about him. I forgot he played for them. Silly me.
That's going to be rough. I mean, I like our defense, but that's always a tough matchup. He's the best receiver in the league. He's going to moss us on a few catches, I'm afraid of.
And I won't necessarily say that's going to happen. I mean, yeah, Julio's probably going to get his, without a doubt. I mean, he had 8 catches for 100-some yards against the Colts, and Matt Ryan threw for 300. But the offense is going to have to do something because if they cannot at least score on this defense, they're going to leave our defense out to dry, and they're not going to be able to hold up against this particular offense longer. And
the last couple games, we scored 7 points. That's not going to beat the Falcons. We scored 17 against the Colts. That's not going to beat the Falcons. This offense needs to... 3 touchdowns might not beat the Falcons just because, like you said, they have a ton of talented players on offense. So, our offense has got to figure something out. I don't know. Is their defense good, or do they have any key injuries? I'm not too knowledgeable about the Falcons' defense.
Now, contrary to what I've been hearing, of course, Keanu Neal, their starting safety, towards Achilles, he's suffered another one, so he's out for the year for the second consecutive year. I mean, they are decimated by injuries, but they still have a few good defensive players in Deion Jones, who's their star.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you got him. You got a big monster in Grady Jarrett in the middle of that line.
I was watching the Colts game, and Grady Jarrett was sidelined with an injury. Is he expected to be coming back for this game?
I'm not sure. I've not heard a word. If y'all check out Titans in Truth tomorrow night, I may have a little bit of an update on injuries with Atlanta, but there's still some good players there. I mean, this could be an opportunity for our offense to wake up a little bit, but we're going to have to do something down the ATL because if we can't score enough to keep up with this offense, we're going to be coming back we're going to be coming back to Music City 1-3, and I don't really have a lot of confidence about this one.
And then we got Buffalo coming to town, who's 3-0. They're 3-0, right? What's going on? What's the
undefeated and Buffalo don't even go together?
No. Somehow.
But they'll be one because I already picked the Patriots. So as much as I hate the Patriots, they're gonna wipe the floor with Buffalo, 3-1 at least.
They should. Yeah. I mean, when I saw Buffalo, I was like, "Oh, good, we get Buffalo at home. All right, we can probably win that game." No, I don't know who we can beat now this year after these past 2 games. So we'll have to see. Atlanta, huge game. Don't give up, Titans fans. It's been 3 games in the season. Any team can turn things around. The great Keith Bullock tweeted out that 2002 Titans started 1-4, ended up going to the AFC Championship game. Believe in the mid-season corrections and adjustments. Can this coaching staff do it?
I'll say one of the things. A lot of the times where teams start hot, they end up fizzling out at the end. And a lot of teams that start off slow, when they get it together, they start rattling off some wins at the end. I mean, the Houston Texans were 0-3 last year, end up winning the division. So, can be done, but offense has got to win. And see some Nate Davis starting game. They could the part of the healing of the O-line.
Yes, we need answers. We need all kinds of answers on the O-line, the quarterback play, the play calling, the preparation, and just a few things. But we'll get it. We'll get there. And don't lose faith, Titans fans. It's week 4.
We need them answers. We need them answers. Yes, we do.
I don't know what that was, but that's the theme for this week. That is the theme for the Titans organization. Answers. All right. Well, I guess that's going to do it. Any closing remarks, Chris?
No, everybody. I thank y'all. I thank Titans too for allowing this crazy knucklehead to grace the TV screen. Check me out, Titans and Truth tomorrow night. We're gonna go about 7:30 tomorrow. Talking a little bit about the Jags, but previewing Atlanta, and make sure you follow me. Facebook, TNT Enforcers. Instagram at Titans_N_Truth. Come with me.
Come with him. Follow him. Do all of that. You heard him. So thank you guys. Hopefully the rest of your week of mourning will finally end on Sunday with the Titans victory against Atlanta. I don't know. Just try to be positive, guys. Okay. Titans tube out. Have a good week, everyone.
Tighten up.